What if everything you believed about life, success, intelligence, identity, was borrowed? What if the greatest journey wasn't out there, but inward? Over 2,400 years ago, one man in the streets of Athens dared to challenge the world, not with weapons, but with questions. His name was Socrates. He never wrote a book. Never held office. Yet his ideas have shaped the conscience of civilization. In this video, we explore 5 timeless principles he left behind, each a mirror to our modern chaos, and each a quiet call to return to what is real. If you've ever felt lost in a world of noise, if you've ever wondered who you really are, then stay with us. Because the wisdom of Socrates is not a history lesson, it's a wake-up call. Principle 1, examine your life, or waste it. Quote, "The unexamined life is not worth living. The weight of a life unquestioned." At the trial that would end his life, Socrates stood before the court, not to plead for mercy, but to plead for meaning. The unexamined life is not worth living, he declared. These were not just words, but the thesis of a lifetime. A life spent in the marketplace of Athens, questioning poets, craftsmen, politicians, and himself. What does it mean to live a life unexamined? It means to move from task to task, year to year, without asking why. To follow inherited beliefs without challenge. To work, consume, sleep, and repeat, without purpose. Socrates believed that we must become students of our own souls. The man who lived without asking. Consider the story of Chris, a high-powered executive in New York. For years, he climbed the corporate ladder, hit targets, bought the house, drove the car. On paper, he was a success. But internally, he was withering. One day, at a silent meditation retreat his wife had begged him to attend, a simple question broke him: what do you truly value? He had no answer. Not really. And that's when he realized, for 45 years, he had lived someone else's life. He quit. Not out of recklessness, but clarity. He sold the house. Moved upstate. Became a mentor to young entrepreneurs. And for the first time, he said, he felt alive. Because he had finally begun to examine. The power of interrogating yourself. Examination is not self-doubt. It's self-inquiry. It's looking at your assumptions and saying, where did I get this belief? Is it still true? Who am I becoming if I keep following this path? True examination is courageous. It might mean walking away from a stable job. Or admitting that your definition of success was inherited, not chosen. It might mean facing uncomfortable truths, like that you've avoided conflict your whole life, or that your ambition is driven by fear, not vision. But through that honesty comes freedom. The Stoic mirror. Even the Stoics, centuries after Socrates, embraced this examination. Epictetus asked students to reflect each night: where did I fall short? Where did I do well? Marcus Aurelius journaled every morning and evening, interrogating his emotions, intentions, and principles. Practical examination. Daily journaling. Ask yourself, what did I do today that aligned with my values? What did I do that betrayed them? Why chain? Pick a major life area. Ask, why do I do this? Then keep asking why, 5 times deep. Value audit. Write down your 5 core values. Then examine your last week. Did your actions reflect them? Final thought. The unexamined life might be easier. But it's also emptier. To examine is to reclaim. To rediscover your agency. To turn life from something that happens to you, into something you shape. Principle 2, wisdom begins with knowing you're ignorant. Quote, I know that I am intelligent because I know that I know nothing. The paradox of the wise fool. We often think the smart ones are the ones with all the answers. Socrates turned this upside down. True intelligence, he claimed, begins with humility, the recognition that our knowledge is tiny compared to what we don't know. In ancient Athens, Socrates was considered annoying by many, and for good reason. He embarrassed prominent men by asking simple questions. They thought they knew. But as he unraveled their logic, it became clear, they didn't. He wasn't trying to win. He was trying to reveal. The doctor who admitted ignorance. In the early days of COVID-19, Dr. Li Wenliang in Wuhan, China, noticed a pattern in patients that others were ignoring. He didn't pretend to understand the virus fully. He simply said, "Something is wrong." And he spoke up. He was silenced, and eventually died from the same illness. His bravery wasn't in knowing. It was in not knowing and daring to ask, "What is this? Are we sure?" Contrast that with leaders and influencers who pretended certainty. Their arrogance cost lives. Knowing nothing, seeing everything. To say, "I know nothing," is not to surrender. It is to remain open. Curious. Teachable. A young entrepreneur named Lisa once told her mentor, "I want to be the smartest in the room." Her mentor replied, "Then you'll stop learning. Instead, aim to be the most curious. Then you'll never plateau." Curiosity is a force multiplier. It breaks echo chambers. It builds bridges. Practical ignorance. Question your certainty. Whenever you say, "I know," ask, "How do I know? What am I missing?" Seek contradictory views, read authors you disagree with. Befriend someone outside your bubble. Mentor others, then listen. Teaching is powerful, but listening to those you teach reveals your blind spots. Final thought. Knowing you know nothing doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. It means you're not trapped in ego. You're free to learn. And in a world full of noise, the one who listens first becomes the one worth listening to. Principle 3, think for yourself to find yourself. Quote, "To find yourself, think for yourself." The danger of borrowed lives. It's tempting to let others define who we are. Parents, teachers, culture, media, they hand us scripts from the moment we're born. Be this. Believe that. Want this. Avoid that. And so we wear masks. We play roles. We drift through life following paths we never questioned. Socrates warned against this. True identity is not something given to you, it's something uncovered. And the tool to uncover it? Thinking for yourself. The girl who asked, why? When Maya was 16, she shocked her deeply traditional family by refusing to apply to medical school. Everyone in her family was a doctor. Her father told her she was dishonoring the family. Her mother cried. But Maya couldn't shake a feeling, "That's your dream. Not mine." Instead, she took a gap year. Worked at a local NGO. Read obsessively, Socrates, Virginia Woolf, Malcolm X. She filled journals with questions. Who am I when no one is watching? What makes a life good? It wasn't easy. She faced isolation. Doubt. But one day, while helping run a youth program for girls in underserved areas, something clicked. She realized her voice had power. Her ideas had impact. And for the first time, she wasn't living a borrowed life. She had begun to find herself, because she had dared to think for herself. The process of becoming. Thinking for yourself isn't about being contrarian. It's about discernment. It's about slowing down before accepting an idea, a label, or a goal. It's about saying, does this align with what I believe, or am I just afraid to question it? The greatest thinkers were not the loudest, they were the clearest. And clarity only comes through honest, independent thought. Practical individual thinking. Question assumptions. What beliefs do you hold that you've never challenged? Start with one. Trace its origin. Write without audience. Journaling without filters forces you to be real. Let the page hear your truest self. Practice mental solitude. take time each day without input. No phones. No podcasts. Just your thoughts. What emerges? Final thought. You cannot find yourself through imitation. You must dare to disappoint others. To walk alone. To trust the quiet voice that whispers beneath the noise. Because the greatest journey is not across oceans or continents, it's the path inward. And that path begins when you start to think for yourself. Principle 4. Speak only what matters. Quote, strong minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, weak minds discuss people. The weight of words. In a world saturated with noise, Socrates taught restraint. He believed speech should be used for elevation, not erosion. Idle gossip, slander, or endless chatter about trivial events, these were signs not of wisdom, but of distraction. Words shape thought. Thought shapes behavior. And behavior becomes destiny. So if your words are constantly about other people's flaws, trending controversies, or meaningless updates, what does that say about the architecture of your mind? The three sieves. Socrates once shared a story known as the test of three sieves. A man came running to him, eager to share some news about a mutual acquaintance. Socrates held up his hand and said, before you speak, let's filter this through three sieves. Is it true? Is it good? Is it useful? The man paused. It's not really true. I just heard it. Is it good? Socrates asked. No, actually, it's quite negative. Is it useful? Not particularly. Socrates replied, then why tell me? The woman who chose silence. Layla was known in her office as the gossip firewall. She listened more than she spoke. When others tried to drag her into workplace drama, she'd calmly say, let's not waste time on that. At first, some resented her. But over time, she became the go-to for thoughtful advice, because people trusted her. She guarded her words like currency. Only spent them when it mattered. And so when she spoke, people listened. Elevate, don't agitate. Strong minds aren't just smart, they're selective. They don't waste time tearing others down. They don't react to every piece of news or drama. Instead, they aim to speak words that plant seeds, of clarity, of truth, of progress. Practical filters for speaking. Pause before you speak, ask, is this true? Is this kind? Is this necessary? Steer conversations upward. When chatter turns to gossip or complaints, gently pivot to ideas or principles. Audit your speech. At the end of the day, reflect, did my words add value? Did they uplift or drain? Final thought. Your voice is a tool. Use it to build, not to break. Because what you choose to speak about reveals what you truly care about. And in a distracted world, the rarest and most powerful sound is a voice that speaks with intention. Principle 5, live with integrity, not popularity. Quote. Be as you wish to seem. The mirror of character. Socrates believed that true virtue wasn't about appearance, it was about alignment. The alignment between what you say and what you do. Between how you act when others are watching, and how you live when no one is. In a world obsessed with image, this idea is revolutionary. Social media rewards performance. Institutions reward compliance. Peer pressure rewards conformity. But the soul, the deepest part of who you are, rewards only one thing, integrity. The story of the quiet farmer. There was once a humble farmer named Elias in a small Greek village. Every week, he'd walk several kilometers to sell his produce. He never cheated the scale, never charged unfairly, and never raised his voice. One day, a wealthy landowner offered to buy all his goods at double the price, but only if Elias agreed to mix some lower quality grain in with the good batch. Elias refused. Why? The landowner said. No one will know. "But I will," Elias replied. Years later, when a flood destroyed much of the valley, the only man the villagers trusted to lead the rebuilding effort was Elias. Not the wealthiest. Not the loudest. But the most honest. Integrity doesn't show up in headlines. But it shows up when it counts. The inner scorecard. Warren Buffett once said, "Would you rather be the world's best lover, but everyone thinks you're the worst? Or be the world's worst lover, but everyone thinks you're the best?" It's a silly question with a serious point. Are you living by an outer scorecard, chasing validation, reputation, applause? Or by an inner scorecard, grounded in your own values, ethics, and self-respect? Socrates would say, the latter is the only one that matters. Because even if the crowd cheers for you, you still have to sleep with your conscience. The cost of popularity. Think of public figures who rose to fame by compromising their truth. The influencer who sells false dreams. The politician who changes values like costumes. The executive who cuts corners to impress shareholders. They may be admired. They may be rich. But are they respected by those who matter most? Are they respected by themselves? Practical integrity. Small promises matter. If you say you'll call, call. If you promise a deadline, keep it. Integrity is built in the details. Do the right thing, especially when it's inconvenient, that's when it counts the most. Live without masks, let the person you are in private be the same person you are in public. Final thought. You may never be famous. You may never be applauded. But if you live with integrity, your life will shine with something rarer than gold, inner peace. Because when your thoughts, words, and actions are one, when you are truly whole, you become unshakable. You don't have to seem good. You are good. And that's enough. We spend our lives chasing approval, chasing titles, chasing comfort. But Socrates invites us to stop. To question. To listen. To become. Know thyself, the ancient Greek saying goes. But that journey begins with courage, the courage to examine your life, admit your ignorance, think your own thoughts, move your own soul, and speak what truly matters. These are not just ideas to admire. They are invitations to live differently. Because in the end, the examined life is not just worth living. It's the only life that's truly yours.